What's good, YouTube? Swiftly here, back with another NBA 2K video. And in today's video, I actually have a special one for you guys, because in today's video I'm going to be ranking, as you can see here, every single NBA 2K game, starting from the very first all the way up to the latest edition of NBA 2K. Now, before I get into these rankings, right, I'm going to make this very brief. I just want to give my, I guess, backstory, because I don't want people saying, "Oh, well, you didn't play any of these, or you didn't play." I played every single one of these 2K games. I've only I probably owned about 80 to 85% of these games, but I will go through each individual game and tell you which ones I owned, which ones I played, which ones I played seriously, which ones I just, kind of played. But enough yet. Let's get into these rankings. But starting with the first 2K, I had this 2K, which is the original 2K. I had it on Dreamcast. The first couple of games, I believe, were only on Dreamcast. I don't think these first couple of games were on any other platform. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I had a Dreamcast and I had PS1 at the time, and I only had 2K on on Dreamcast. Excuse me. I had the first 3 games, and then I had moved on to PS2, and on PS2 I was really mostly playing live. Especially during this period, I was playing live, so that's the reason why I didn't really own these. I played them but didn't own them. But starting with the first NBA 2K, as far as ranking is gonna go, I'm gonna go with the best game ever. Now, the reason why I'm going with the best game ever is I don't think this particular version of 2K is the best game ever, but this is where it all started. So I gotta go with putting it at the top rank, in my opinion. Just for what the game was. Extremely innovative, extremely fun. Just a good time. Especially since this was the first time that the game just, I don't know, NBA game just felt good. It felt realistic. It felt just good to play basketball. I mean, I played Live 98, Live 97. I was playing NBA Shootout, and I forgot what the other one was. There was a third game. Not NBA Heat. I want to say NBA Drive or something like that. There was maybe 2 or 3 basketball games before 2K came on the scene, but Live was always around, and then NBA Shootout was another series that was around, and then NBA 2K kind of took Shootout and that other NBA's game spot, and then it was really just Live and 2K till now, where it's just 2K. But again, enough yap. We're gonna move on to our next one, which is NBA 2K1. And this, if you notice a trend, you're only gonna see Iverson on the first couple of covers. But 2K1, I'm gonna go with just alright, because this was a game that, again, I own 2K1, but there really, to me, wasn't much of a difference from 2K and 2K1. It was still pretty much the same game for the most part. And then I would probably throw NBA 2K2 in alright as well too. Now 2K3, I did not own 2K3. I played NBA 2K3, but I did not own this. So because I didn't own it, I feel like it's unfair for me to give a real rating. I'm still going to rank it, but I feel like it's unfair for me to rank a game that I personally did not own and play. Because when you play a game, it's like, okay, I play it every time I go to my friend's house, but I'm not logging in hundreds of hours on this game. I didn't log in hundreds of hours on NBA 2K3 the same way I logged in hundreds of hours on 2K8 or 2K24, 2K25, whatever. So your opinions, your thoughts, all of those things might vary a little bit differently, because you did not, you know what I mean? You did not actually own the game. But I'm still going to put 2K3 on all right. I'm going to put 2K3 in all right. Now, this is 2K4, which is not even called NBA 2K4. It's called ESPN Basketball. Again, this was another game that I did not own. I played, but again, my reasoning for why I didn't play 2K2, 2K3, 2K4, and even 2K5, why I didn't own these games was because at the time, for me, live was the better game during this era. So I was playing live '03 with Jason Kidd on the cover. I was playing live '04 with Vince Carter on the cover. I was playing live '05 with Carmelo Anthony on the cover. Then live '06 was I think D Wade on the cover. Then live '07 was T Mac on the cover. And that's where I kind of stopped playing live, and I kind of moved on back to 2K. 2K8 was really the year that was just like, all right, live is done. 2K8 up until 2K7, I was still getting both games or playing both games, but 2K8 was when I finally was like, okay, live is officially done. This shit is officially trash. It's 2K or nothing for me. So because of that, again, like I said, I didn't own these games. I didn't own 3, 4, 5, or 6. I would probably just put these in the alright category. Just because, again, like I said, I didn't own these games. You know what I'm saying? Now, 2K7 is when I kind of made my return to 2K. I had 2K7 and I had 2K7 for 360, and I had 2K7 for Xbox 360, and then I had Live 06 for PS2. So at this point in time, I had PS2 and Xbox 360. Because I think the Xbox 360 had been out for like 2 years at this point. Yeah, so this was like before I moved on and got a PS3 and everything like that. You know, Xbox had, Xbox dominated my high school years, my junior high school years or whatever. And even to an extent, I want to say after high school, people were still like heavy on Xbox. But I will say this, I was even on the Xbox wave. Like, I mean, I wasn't on the original Xbox, but I was on the Xbox 360 wave because of Call of Duty and everything else. And yeah, man, like 2K7 was like where I kind of jumped back in on the 2K wave. And I'm going to say 2K7, I don't want to give it great. It was a great game, but 2K7, I'm going to go with just all right. And it hurts to put it in all right because 2K7 did have that 24/7 game mode. Now, if you wasn't around for 2K6, 2K7, 2K8, there was this mode called 24/7 mode, right? And it was like the old school version of like My Career. It wasn't My Career. It wasn't called My Career or Superstar mode or anything like that. It was called 24/7 mode. And basically what it was like, you create a player, give him a name, put his accessories, do all of that, your skin color, your hair color. You pick like what jump shot and all of that shit. Basically, you create your own player, and then you take him into this mode called 24/7 mode. And it would basically take you from court to court, and you would just basically do these missions and play these missions. Sometimes you would have to play one-on-one with Shaq. Sometimes you would play 2-on-2. You would get to pick your teammate. Sometimes they would just give you a teammate. So you might play 2-on-2 against Shaq and like Yao Ming, and your teammate might be you and like Jerry Stackhouse or Stephon Marbury. So you got two guards. If you made a point guard, you got two guards trying to guard two centers. You know what I mean? It was just random shit like that. And then there's sometimes you would have to play 1-on-1. Sometimes you would play 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. Sometimes you would even get to play 21. You know, you might get a match where you got to play LeBron and Kobe in a game of 21 and win, every man for themselves. Like, that's just how random the 24/7 mode was. And you used to go from court to court. So you might start out in, I don't know, Rucker Park, you know, in New York City. Then you might make your way to Venice Beach in California. Then you might make your way to such and such in Detroit. And then such and such in, you know, Florida, Miami. And then, like, it was just different courts, and you would just do different things, like, in different challenges and stuff. And eventually, once you got to the end of 24/7 mode, however long it took for you to get to the end of 24/7 mode, they would throw you in association mode, which, if you don't know, association mode was the old school version of My League / My NBA. It's called My NBA now, but before it was called My NBA, it was called My League, and before it was called My League, it was called Association Mode, where you take control of a team and you just basically try to win a championship. You can sign players, sign coaches, trade players, do whatever. You just basically control the entire franchise. That's basically what Association Mode was. But it would basically throw you get to pick which team you want, and it would throw your 24/7 mode player on that team. So let's say, the Kings were trash back then. I would throw my player on the Sacramento Kings. I would throw my player on, like, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Charlotte Bobcats. Like, I would just throw my player on a really shit team and try to, like, grind out and get our team up to the point where we could win a championship, And I played the hell out of 2K7. So that's why, for me, I know I just yapped crazy. For me, that's the reason why it's kind of hard for me to put this in all right mode, because technically speaking, it was great. I could even go as high as the best game ever, but, like, it wasn't, crazy. I'm gonna go with great. And the reason why is because that mode was fun. Association was fun. Before we had a My Career mode, that's basically what I was doing. I did this a lot in this next game, 2K8, but I would just create a player, throw him on a team that sucked, and just try my hardest to win as many championships as I could with my own created player. And that was my version of My Career mode. That was my version of Superstar mode. And you also have to remember that this is 2K7, 2K8, 2K9. At this point, EA's Madden already have Superstar mode. Superstar mode came out in Madden 06. So we already had a career mode for sports games at this point, because Madden was the first one to come out with Superstar mode in Madden 06, Madden 07. We still don't have this for 2K or even Live. There was no Superstar mode, in my opinion, in Live just yet, or career mode in Live just yet, in 06 or 07. So up until this point, this is the only way you can play a quote-unquote career mode in basketball, is to Live, I think, had franchise mode. 2K had association. Creating a player in franchise or association and throwing them on whatever team you want was the only way to really play My Career back in the day. So, I'm going to put this in great, but really the real great game would be 2K8. Now, this game, man, if we're talking about old gen games like the PS2 era, before the PS3 era of games, this was the 2K that I logged the most hours in. When I tell you that I've played association mode with every single player that you can think of, when I tell you that I've probably seen every single outcome that you can possibly see, I played this game until my fucking disc did not work anymore. That's how much I played 2K8. I played the absolute ever-loving shit out of this game. Like, this was like this game was just pure fun, bro. And I ranked this game highly. I don't know why I put it in great, because I have to put this in as the best game ever. Like, this was, like, really, for me, for like, pre, like, next-gen games, this was, like, the pinnacle basketball game for me. Like, 2K9, I'll throw 2K9 in all right. 2K9 was all right to me. But 2K8, like, My Career 2K8 is the pinnacle. It is the pinnacle. It's just pure fun. The chemistry system, the morale thing or whatever. I believe this was also the year. Now, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong if you do your research. But to my knowledge, this was the first year where association, My League or whatever, had roles. So you can actually have dedicated roles for dudes on your team. So let's say you had a 78 overall. This dude is nice, but you don't want him to get uppity and start demanding a crazy salary. You could tag him as a 6-man role, and his role will always be 6-man. He will never get upset that he's not getting more minutes or more playing time or whatever. Then you had dudes that you could tag as starters. You had dudes that you could tag as bench warmers. So it's like, oh, if you tag a 70 overall as bench warmer, this is an issue that's actually present in I was about to say current Call of Duty, excuse me, in current 2K games, because the way that the progression works, it's so out of whack. Anybody that plays My NBA, My League will tell you in current 2K games, like by year 3 or 4, you have like a roster of 80 overall dudes. Everybody's an 80 overall, but everybody can't play. And then because of that, you got like a bunch of dudes that are like 8th, 9th, 10th on your roster that is pissed and mad as hell, that's saying they won't re-sign with you because they're an 80 overall and you're not playing them. But it's like, dog, my entire team is 80 overall because the progression is fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But back in 2K8, you would just tag those last 3-4 dudes as bench warmers, and they would never get uppity. Their morale would never go down. They would never get back. Now, if you took, let's say, LeBron James or Kobe Bryant and tagged them as a bench warmer, obviously that would drop their morale because they're like 90 overalls and whatnot. But I'm saying if you had like a 70, 75 that you were trying to stash and, you know, grow without making him pissed, you had those roles that you could tag people as. You could have like the star tag, the starter tag, the 6-man tag, the bench warmer tag, and there might have been another role, like role player or rotation player or something like that I'm missing. But there was about 4 or 5, maybe 6 roles that you can tag people as. I think prospect was another role that you could tag people as in this game. But to me, 2K8 was like the pinnacle of my career 2Ks. This game was just phenomenal. I put so many hours in 2K8. Now 2K9, I didn't own this game, but 2K9, I played a lot of 2K9 because after we would hoop, after school, me, my friend, my homie Troy, you know, my homie White Boy James, it was a bunch of us. We would hoop after school, right? And then we would go across the street to the roof. We would smoke a couple blunts, you know what I'm saying, blow it down or whatever. And then we would go to my man's crib and we would just play 2K9 all night long. We would go hoop on like a Saturday. We'd go outside, hoop from like 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon to like 6, 7 o'clock at night. Then go to somebody's crib, smoke, and then just play 2K from like 6, 7 o'clock at night to like 1, 2 in the morning, bro, until it was time to go home type shit. We would just, that's all we did. We hooped, play basketball in real life, and then we would smoke and then go to the crib and play 2K all day. Like, that's really what our, like, you know, hanging out or chilling was for us, bro. Like, you know, obviously we go to like, you know, kickbacks, parties, etc. But on a day-to-day basis, that's really what we did, bro. Came back from school, hit the hood, played ball, went to the crib, played 2K, bro. So I spent a lot of time playing 2K9, but for me, I didn't own 2K9. So for me, I don't think I played enough of it that I could give a fair rating to it. But because I didn't own it, I don't feel like my rating of the game really carries that much weight. Because majority of my time spent with this game was spent playing my friends and Play Now. So I didn't really get to own this and really spend a lot of time with like, you know, association mode and all of that stuff like that. Most of my time was spent with this game was playing Play Now. Moving on, we do have 2K10, and to me, this game is a top 5, easily, no debate, top 5 2Ks of all time. And that's 2K10. This is going straight to the best game ever, easily. There is no debate. I won't take anything less than top 5. And you could even argue that it's top 3 2Ks. Just for the fact that this was the first time that we had my career mode. So, you know, this is when they first implemented my career mode. And I stand by this opinion that this is the hardest my career mode ever. Period. Full stop. 2K11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. For the last 15 years that my career has been in the game, this is hands down the hardest my career mode. First of all, you start off bare fucking minimum, bro. You start off with like a 45 overall or some shit, because this is when 2K was real nitty gritty with the shit. There was no VC, there was no buying anything to make your player better. All you had was SP, otherwise known as skill points, and you had to grind your shit out the mud, dog. And the real beauty of this wasn't like, oh, you're an automatic first overall draft pick, 15, 14, 13 lottery pick. No, 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 no. You had to get this shit out the mud. You was getting drafted like in the second round. You was going undrafted a lot of times. If you wasn't nice as fuck. Now, mind you, you're playing with a 45 overall, sometimes a 40 overall. You are absolute and utter dog shit. You can't stay in front of nobody. You can barely hit a shot depending on what archetype you started with. Like if you started out with like a sharpshooter archetype, or I think it was called 3-point specialist, you had a little something. You had like maybe like a 65 3 ball or something like that. Maybe you had like a little 65 3 ball. If you went with like the playmaker archetype, all right, you had a little ball handle, a little passing on your shit, but you used looking at like a 50, 40 something shooting attributes. You know, everything else, you started out with a little speed, you little ball handle, a little pass. Everything else is in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? You went with like a defensive minded type of player. You had a little defensive stats. You get where I'm getting at. Whatever you pick, you started out mediocre in that. Not even good or great or okay. You started out mediocre. Everything else was in the dirt. Straight casket. And from there, they wanted you to not only perform, you had to perform in summer circuit. From the summer circuit, if you, depending on how good you played in the summer circuit, that would determine how many training camp invites you got. So if you played dog shit and you had an F grade, guess what? No training camp invites. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You go straight to the D League. Now, if you played semi-decent, you might have had 10 training camp invites. If you played great, you might have had 20 training camp invites. And if you played superb and you played your ass off and you was sweaty as hell, you might have had a training camp invite from all 30 teams, and you had to just, you're picking the litter of what teams you wanted to play for and try out for. Now, keep in mind, the training camp invite isn't a guarantee. You still got to survive training camp, play well, and then you can make the team. And even then, you're still coming off the bench until you gradually grind your player up to the point where you could get into the starting rotation. I'm going to tell you a little story. And I've told this story plenty of times on this channel. I'm a Dallas fan through and through. Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Mavericks, whatever. If I was into any other sport, I would be jacking Dallas. I know I'm from New York. I know that sounds crazy, but I've always been a Dallas fan ever since I was a little kid. That was the team that I gravitated towards, and it is the team that I've supported since I was a little kid, period. Straight facts. When we got cooked in 06 by the bum-ass Heat because of the cheating-ass refs, hey, nigga, I was a Dallas fan. When we cooked the Big Three in Miami and we redeemed ourselves and won in 2011, I was a Dallas fan. You know what I'm saying? When we fucking lost in 2024 to the Celtics, I was a Dallas fan. When we lost to the Warriors in 2022 in the Western Conference Finals, still a Dallas fan. When Dirk was taking pay cuts and, getting dog shit teammates for no reason, I was still a Dallas fan. I'll always be a Dallas fan. Even when they traded Luka to the goddamn Lakers, as much as I fucking hate it, I'm still a Dallas fan, bro. So with that being said, right, even though I was a Dallas fan, I was the only Kobe stan as well. Kobe was my favorite player outside of Dirk in Dallas. I worship Kobe, bro. Kobe was the player I wanted to play like. Kobe was the player I wanted to be like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had his jerseys. I had his 8 jersey. I had his 24 jersey. Like, I wore his sneakers. I had like 2-3 different pairs of phenomenons. Like, I was the only Kobe fan. I wore sneakers, his jerseys, everything. I like to play with the Lakers, all of that. I was a Kobe fan. You know what I'm saying? Kobe fan. Love the player. So I had the idea that I was gonna try out for the Lakers, right? So I played the summer circuit in 2K10 my career. I got invited to the training camp, and I thought, I was a point guard. I was a playmaking point guard. I thought, you know what? I'll join the Lakers, right? It's perfect. I get to play with Kobe Bryant, who was like a 96, 97 overall or something like that at the time, if I'm not mistaken, for 2K10. And the real beauty is that also I don't even have to worry about checking him, right? Because, like, I'm a point guard. They're going to put me up against Derek Fisher's old ass. I could check 70 something overall Derek Fisher. He's old as shit. He's not really quick. You know, he got some playmaking. He got a little bit of shooting, but I could check Derek Fisher on a 50 overall. Like, I ain't that ass, right? Wrong. Because when you get invited to the training camp, what I found out is that this is how kind of realistic 2K10 is. They don't do A team versus B team like you would think they would do in 2K. No. They mix the teams. They mix the starters with the bench players. The role players get mixed with the starters. So while A team had Derek Fisher, B team had Kobe Bryant. Guess what team I was on? I was on A team with old ass Derek Fisher. So they put Derek Fisher at point guard, and they put my sorry 50 overall ass at shooting guard. And I had to check 90 something overall Kobe Bryant. And when I say that man sent me to the fucking Shadow Realm, I mean he sent me to the fucking Shadow Realm. He dunked on me. He laid me up. He posted me up, post and toast, took my ankles, was shooting fadeaways, whatever you can think of prime Kobe Bryant. I'm talking about like 96, 97, 98 overall Kobe Bryant could do. He did all of that shit to me, bro. I think I might have gotten a stop here or there, but for the most part, I literally could not guard this man. I'm on a 50 overall with like barely any defense. I could not guard him at all. Sent me straight to the Shadow Realm. And to this day, I remember the team in the D League that I played for. I went to the Rio Grande Vipers. Let me look them up. Look, Rio Grande Vipers. Yeah, the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, as you can see right here, the Rio Grande Valley Vipers are an American professional basketball team of the NBA G League based in Edinburgh, Texas, and are affiliated with the Houston Rockets. So that's where I got sent. I got my ass sent straight to the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. And I remember that team off the top of my dome because I remember that. I remember this story distinctly, bro. And for me, that's the reason why NBA 2K10 is one of the top games, because just my career experience of going through that was probably some of the most realistic shit I've ever seen in an NBA basketball game. Like, to have to go through the summer circuit, to have to go through the training camps, and you know, nowadays our hand is held, you automatically are on an NBA roster. Better yet, you don't even get drafted. You just get to choose what NBA roster you want to go to. You want to play with the best team in the league? Go ahead. Snap of your fingers. Choose the best team. You don't have to earn your spot. You don't have to earn your position. You don't have to do anything. You just snap your fingers and you're in the NBA as a 60 overall. Snap your fingers and you're on the best team, backing up the best PG, best shooting guard, best small forward, best center, or whatever in the league. And to me, I get why they do it now, but to me, that's trash. Like, I think they need to separate my career from online my career and offline my career. I would like this experience for offline my career, but enough about 2K10. I could spend all day yapping about this game, man. Like, that's the reason why to me it's a top 5 game. I could keep going on and on about 2K10, but I'm not. I just want to leave y'all with that story of why I rate this game so highly. Now, 2K11, this is going to also go into the great category. Now, for me, the reason why it has the Jordan moments and all of that stuff. I think 2K11, right? 2K11 had the Jordan moments and the Jordan challenges and stuff like that. I think 2K12 is the one that had the legend moments and the legend challenges, if I'm not mistaken. Like, my memory might be bad. I might be a little wrong. I did used to smoke a lot, so I might be confusing the two. But to my knowledge, with Jordan on the cover, this was the 2K that had the Jordan moments, Jordan challenges. And then the 2K12, this had Jordan on the cover as well too. I think 2K12 was the one that had the legend challenges. So it wasn't just Jordan. It was like, oh, drop 40 with Larry Bird, drop 30 assists with Magic Johnson, drop 100 with, you know, Will, drop 90 with Kareem, you know, like all the different legends, you know, cook up, get 20 and 15 with Isaiah Thomas, like the different legend moments and stuff. And These two games were solid games. I don't have anything bad to say about 2K11 or 2K12, and I spent a hell of a lot of time with 2K12. Actually, I'll take this back. I have one bad thing to say about 2K12 that I found very annoying. If you play 2K12, then you know what I'm talking about. And that was that little speed boost that you would do at R2. Now, if you know what I'm talking, if you play 2K12, you know what I'm talking about in its prime. There was like this burst of speed that you could get. If you tapped R2, it would like throw the ball in front of you, like as if you was trying to like, oh, I need to hurry up. And you would just you would just like launch the ball as if you're throwing it at somebody, like dodgeball. You would just launch that shit in front of you, and your dude would just pick up a head of steam. But if you did that shit anywhere in the vicinity of another player, it would just deflect. Even if the ball technically didn't touch them, if there was a person to the left side of you and you threw that ball and you're throwing it directly in front of you, but they're to the left of you, it would just magically bounce off of them, and it's like a loose ball every single time. And the worst part was the out of bounds calls. If you did that, clearly I'm dribbling the ball off of this person, but it was like some type of glitch where if you bounce the ball off somebody while hitting R2 and doing that speed burst or whatever, it would be out of bounds off of you every single time. And it made no sense because it's like, well, who does the ref think I'm dribbling the ball off of? If a defender is in front of me and I tap R2 and throw the ball in front of me and it bounces off them, who the fuck is the ball touching last? It's clearly not touching me last if I bounced it off him, right? If I dribbled off his foot, his leg, his back, whatever, elbow, it's obviously off the defender, but it was like a glitch where it would be out of bounds off you. That's the only bad thing I have to say about 2K12. Other than that, great game, but I hate that speed burst, dribbling off people. Now, the next game, I'm throwing this in great as well too, bro. I'm not going to hold you. I could put this in best game ever category, but I feel like the best game ever category is reserved for like the absolute best 2Ks. Like these three 2Ks really are like top tier 2Ks. Like 2K13 wasn't a top tier 2K, but it was one of those ones that brought in the innovation. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because 2K13 was the first time that we got signature skills. And signature skills are what you know today as badges. Now, before they were badges, they were called signature skills. This was when you had like stuff like chase down artists, you had like microwave, you had all of these, you had antifreeze, like, you know, the classic OG signature skills, right? And it was way more balanced than it is today, because nowadays, today, you can make a player and have all 30, 40, 50 badges in the game if you want. Back in 2K13, you had to pick and choose 5 signature skills. 5, that's it. You only got 5 slots. And there was no badges or signature skills to boost that, to give you more signature skills. You had 5 slots to choose what your play style was going to be for your player. 5. Now, you could choose whichever 5, you know, that you wanted. You know, if you wanted to get blocks, you wanted eraser, you could put eraser on there. If you wanted microwave so you could heat up and get hot after 2-3 shots, you could put microwave on your player. If you wanted, you know, steals, if you wanted dunks, posterizer or whatever like that, highlight reels and all of that shit, you could mismatch whatever 5 signature skills / badges that you wanted. But you only got 5 of them. So those 5 really distinguished how your player played. And now, to me, was just a very beautiful part about 2K13. Because then it made what you picked important. If you wanted to be a Kobe Bryant-esque player, you would have to go with like Deadeye. You would have to go with like antifreeze. You would have to go with microwave. You would have to go with like fourth quarter closer or whatever, where you could get hot easier and clutch up or whatever in the fourth quarter. Like, you would have to pick and choose what badges that you wanted or signature skills that you wanted out of those 5 to, you know, distinguish your play style. Did you want to be like a spot up, shoot, catch and shoot type of player? Did you want to be a 3 and D like type of player? You know, go 2 defense, 2 shooting? Or did you just want to go straight offense and be, you know, Kobe? Did you want to go playmaking and be more kind of like a LeBron, Jason Kidd? You know, there was just different types of and then there's even like I wouldn't say personality, but utility badges like microwave let you heat up faster. Antifreeze made it harder for you to get cold. So let's say normally you brick 3 shots, you get an ice cold ring. If you had antifreeze, instead of 3 brick shots make you cold, it would take like 5 or 6 bricks for you to get cold. You know what I mean? Like, but you just had the different, different things that you could equip to your player. They also had, that was back when they had the volume shooter signature skill as well too, where like the more shots you take, the easier it is that you start heating up and knocking down shots and whatnot. Like, to me, that's what 2K13 is the reason, or really the reason why 2K is the way it is, as far as with badges and all of that stuff, and badges being king and badges mattering more than attributes. And back then it was amazing. Now I'm kind of tired of it and wish they got rid of badges, and I wish that attributes mattered way more than just the dumbass badges and the animations, but that's where the game is at now. Back then it was amazing. Now, not so much, but 2K13, one of the most innovative 2Ks of all time. I want to put it up there, but I'm going to put it in a great category because it was a great game. As far as things that I didn't like, the only thing I didn't like about this game was the spin dunks. If you played back then, you know about the spin dunks. All you needed was a small forward with like any small forward that was 6'6" to like 6'8", that had good athleticism, like an 80+ dunk. You was just spin dunking the shit out of people. Just double tap, square, spin, dunk. LeBron James, Andre Iguodala, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant. I'm trying to think who else was in that category. I said Iguodala, Durant, Kobe, LeBron. Oh, Rudy Gay was another one. Rudy Gay was notorious in this. Dude from the Pacers, Danny Granger was another one. Paul Pierce to an extent. Who else? I'm trying to think of some more players that was like any shooting guard, small forward that just had like decent athleticism. You would just spin dunk and just get to the rim every time. Spin dunk, dunk, spin dunk, dunk, spin dunk, dunk. That was the only bad thing about 2K13 that I really disliked. 2K14, another great 2K. Don't have anything really bad or anything great to say about 2K14. 2K14 was just more of the same of 2K13 in my opinion. If you was a LeBron head, then obviously you mess with 2K14. But to me, it was just another 2K. This was also a 2K that I did not personally own. I played. But I played a lot of it. I own 2K13. I own 2K12. 2K11 I didn't own, and I didn't own 2K14, but I did play all of these games. 2K15 I owned and played the absolute hell out of this game. And 2K15, I would say my favorite thing about 2K15 was honestly just the fluidity of the movement in this game. Like doing a hop step, a euro, it just felt good in this game. There's very few games where like the movement feels good. 2K20 was another game where the movement felt really fluid and good. Like I felt like I was in control of my player. Everything didn't just feel, rigid and stiff and animation based. Like I felt in control of my player. The movement felt fluid. I don't know. I just like the way the players move. I like the way, the control I had over my player, whether I wanted to hop step to the left, hop step to the right, whether I wanted to hop step and then stop, pump fake, and then go up with it. You was able to do all of these things. Nowadays in 2K, you're not allowed to do all of that. Sometimes you spin and you let go of everything, and guess what? The game still make you go up with the shit. Sometimes you hop step, you stop, let go of everything, the game still just makes you go straight up with the shit. Like, in these older games, when you hop step and let go of everything, you just stop. You might have pump fake, but you stopped. You didn't go up and continue the shot. Nowadays, it's like, you're not even allowed to, like, do a lot of the shit that you want to do because everything is so animation based that you don't even have full control over your player. So 2K15 is definitely a 2K that I appreciate. I wouldn't say it's a top 5 2K, but it is a really good 2K. This was like when 2K couldn't miss. We're talking about right now. We're in the golden era of 2K as far as 2K games. So you're not going to really see any of these games really dip below great, in my opinion. I don't think any of these next games that I'm talking about is going to go below great because you're currently in the golden era of 2K. I would say really 2K10 to like up until now, you're in the golden era. From 2K10 until now, you're in the golden era of 2K. And then this next one, 2K16. Man. 2K16, bro. What a fun game. And I think this is really where we seen these two games here is where we seen the absolute peak of 2K. I think this is the peak of 2K. If Black Ops 2 is like the peak of Call of Duty where it's not going to get any better than this, I think 2K17, 2K16, 2K15 was the peak for 2K. You know, I think this was like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that these games were perfect, but if you're talking about just the fun factor, how fun the game was, I think we're talking about the peak of 2K. I don't think I've had this much fun in a 2K game, just pure fun. I'm not talking about, oh, I was killing people, I was dropping 30, 40, 50 points. Like, yeah, I've been doing that in 2Ks since then, but no. I mean just pure fun. Whether you win, whether you lose, whether you know, like, you got bad teams on your team, good teams on your team, whatever. These games were just fun. F-U-N. Pure fun. So, I'm hard-pressed to not put these. I'm going to put one in great, and I'm going to put one in best game ever. 2K16, I would probably put in great, and then for me, 2K17, because I just played 2K17 way more. And personally, for me, 2K17 was a much more impactful game because 2K17 was when I really started making content on NBA 2K. You know, 2K17 was when I first started making badge tutorial videos on how to unlock badges, the easiest methods for unlocking badges and stuff. So if you go all the way back on my channel, all the way back, you'll see that my first couple of videos were on 2K17 about how to unlock badges and doing badge tutorials and stuff, how to unlock the Hall of Fame badges, how to unlock the Grand Badge in 2K17, all of these things. This is when I first started making content. So 2K17 will always have like that special place for me because it's where I started, you know, as far as my YouTube channel goes. I took a break for like the next couple years. I really stopped after that, and then I didn't really pick up again until like 2K20 or 2K21 or something like that, 2K22. But yeah, this is where I first started. I got my start on this channel anyway. I was making content before that on Call of Duty, but that was a totally different channel. On this channel, 2K is where I really got my grind started. So, yeah, 2K17. Now, 2K18, if you follow this channel, you subscribe to me, you watch my videos, then you probably already know where this thing is going. And this shit is going straight into the horrible pile. You already know my opinion on 2K18. Up until now, this was the worst 2K of all time. And this is where we kind of ushered in I don't know what I would call this. I would say this is the era of after the golden era, if you will. I would call this period after the golden era. And this is basically when we exited the golden era. Up until now, 2K10 to 2K17, you were in the golden era of 2K. You couldn't find a bad 2K. Bad 2K, mediocre 2K, shitty 2K, unplayable 2K, you couldn't find a single one. 2K10, 2K11, 2K12, 2K13, 2K14, 2K15, 2K16, and even 2K17. Every single one of those games were good to great to top 5, depending on who you ask and depending on what game you're speaking on. But 2K18 was the year that they kind of just, I don't know, betrayed us. 2K18 was where you couldn't preview haircuts. 2K18 was when they got greedy and they tied our rep to our overall. So if you made a new player, you basically had to reset your rep, right? Because there was no real rep system. Everything was tied to overall. So it was just like, you got to find a way to get to 99 overall. And if you made a new player, then guess what? You have to start all the way the fuck over to get back to 99 overall. Which means every time you made a new player, you basically reset your rep for that player. Which to me was just corny as hell. They made you pay for every animation in the game. So even rookie big man dunk packages, the shitty ass rookie default layups and all of that stuff, you had to pay for every single thing. Park was trash. They moved the parks that everybody known and loved for the last 3 or so years to this neighborhood BS that was so glitchy and laggy. You would invite people to your neighborhood. You would try to run over to the park. And by the time you got to the park, it would just lag out and teleport them into a whole totally different park. You would constantly have to invite your friends to your park and pray that you guys got into the same park. That's how bad the neighborhood was in 2K18. And just in general, just 2K18 just in general was just bad, bro. Just, it was bad. I think my most hated thing about 2K18 for me was like that weird animation where if you ran diagonally at the rim, you would just get that blow by animation. No matter how fast, no matter how slow, no matter how much strength or speed or acceleration, speed with ball, whatever you want to call it, no matter what your level of badges was, people would get this blow by diagonal animation. And it was the most corniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, whether you were a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, everybody got that diagonal blow by animation. And if you play 2K18, you know what I'm talking about, where if you drove to the basket from right wing or left wing, you would get that blow by animation every single time. And if don't let it be a contested layup, when you get that like double clutch contested layup, that animation would go in every single time. It was like an automatic free gimme layup. I've never seen that layup animation mentioned. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't even worry about it. But those of y'all who played and really hoop and know what I'm talking about 2K18, that contested layup animation, that shit went in 99.99% of the times. If it did miss, I did not see it. But enough about this dog shit game. We move on to something else that was decent. And I would say 2K19. 2K19 was all right. Again, another 2K that just, it wasn't great. It wasn't bad either, but it wasn't great either. 2K19 was just, it was okay to me, you know? It was much better than 2K18 for sure, without a doubt. It didn't have that diagonal blow-by animation. The rep, the rep wasn't tied to your overall, but the rep wasn't normal rep either. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is where it had like where they first added like the ranking system where you would get like 3 stars or two stars, 3 stars or some shit like that. The little gold stars, the little silver stars or whatever underneath your name. 2K19, like I said, man, 2K19, I don't really have anything bad to say about 19. Like 19 was just like, it was just an okay 2K. It was an average 2K. That's why I have it under all right. Like, I can't think of anything that made me hate this game, but I also can't think of anything that made me like this game or love this game. It was just an average 2K game. It wasn't dog shit like 2K18. It wasn't amazing like 2K16 or 17 or 10 or 8 or anything like that. It was just your average run-of-the-mill 2K game. Moving on to 2K20. Now, this is the 2K that I know a lot of people feel strongly about because, you know, we all know what happened during the year 2020, and a lot of us was at home stuck playing this game for better or worse. And I think a lot of people will, because of that time period that we were in and we were all stuck at home and couldn't go nowhere, couldn't do shit but just get up and get on the game and play the game. That's all I did for most of 2020 was just get up, smoke, and play the game, bro. And a lot of that time playing the game was spent on 2K20, bro. Like a lot of that time was spent on 2K20 because I couldn't do anything else. I ain't gonna say the word, but you know what word I'm talking about. The P word, the C word. We spent a lot of time on this game. A lot of times, and honestly, this was like my first time in years that I actually went back and started playing my team because I had just that much time to spend on this game that I actually went back and started collecting cards on my team, playing my team, doing the challenges and quests and all of that in my team because I was just bored out of my mind. We had played so much Rec and Park and whatnot that there was really nothing left to do. I was playing Play Now online. Like, there was literally nothing that I did not play in this game. From my league to my team to my career to Play Now online, you name it. I might have even gotten in some runs in my GM. I'm not even going to lie to you. That's just how much I played this game, bro. Like, and it's just, I don't know. It's just amazing to me. We all probably had the same experience with this game, given the circumstances. As far as the ranking, I would again put this in all right. I wouldn't consider this a bad game or anything like that. Moving on to our next game, we do have 2K21, and for me, ordinarily I would put this in horrible, but since we don't have any in mid, I'm gonna just throw this in mid. And the main reason why I'm throwing this in mid was because I just didn't like 2K21 is weird because there was only like one or two things I did not like about this game. I would start off by saying the main thing I didn't like about this game was that I was not a fan of the shooting. The shooting for me seemed inconsistent. I just want to look up. Actually, I won't even bother looking it up because I wanted to look up the badges. If this was the game that had like flexible release and all of that stuff, that might have been 2K20. I know 2K22 didn't have it, but I know 2K22 had mismatch expert. Might have been 22. I could have sworn it was 21. But I just remember the shooting being so inconsistent in 21. I hated how inconsistent the shooting was. Like 2K20, I was shooting over 50, 60%. 2K19, I was shooting around 50%. But 2K21, like I was barely shooting 50% in 2K21. And for me, it was just that the shooting was just so inconsistent. And I wasn't a fan of the badges either. Like, I didn't like the badges. Like, the badges to me was just like a lot of shitty, unnecessary badges. A la like 2K19. Like 2K19, I put in all right, but I now that I think about it, the badge system I wasn't a fan of, like with the archetypes and the badges. There was a lot of bullshit badges like glue hands and free throw ace and all of that shit. When I don't want to grind a badge to make free throws where I'm bricking because I don't have free throw ace on bronze, so I'm missing free throws. Like I want to just be able to slap an 85 free throw or 90 free throw and just knock down my free throws. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but 2K21. Yeah, like, I wasn't a fan of 2K21. If I were to put, like, the worst 2Ks of all time, well, you know what? I'll rank my worst 3 2Ks of all time, and then I'll rank my top 3 2Ks of all time. I'll do that at the very end, right? But 2K21, I'm going with mid. I was going to put it in horrible, but to be fair, it's not as bad as 18. If I had to choose between 18 or 21, I most definitely would play 21 over 18. So that's why I'm not going to put it in horrible. But to me, it is in the bottom. If you look at the last like 10 years of 2K, 2K21 is in that bottom list, in my opinion. It is one of the worst 2Ks in the last 10 years for sure. Moving on, we have 2K22 with my boy Luka Doncic on the cover for 2K22, and for me, this game, I'm gonna go all right, bro. And hear me out. The reason I'm gonna go all right was because it had too much bullshit in it for me to put it in great. I enjoyed 2K22, especially after a lot of patches were made. Once they patched the steals, once they patched the left right bullshit, which of course they patched the left right after I made like a two-way build. I forgot what my build was called, but I made a two-way build that was like 6 feet tall. That could negate that mismatch expert shit and could negate that left right shit that everybody did. Because all my other builds were like 6'5", 6'4", so dudes that were like 6 feet, 6'1" was getting mismatch expert on me and just shooting contested as fuck, greening over me. I made like a 6 foot two-way build, and then that next week they patched left right, so nobody was really spamming those 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot left right builds no more. So I was kind of pissed. I had gotten my build up to like a 75 overall. I was grinding out my badges. I was almost ready to go online. I'm like, I just need a little bit more VC, and I'm taking this bad boy online at like an 85, 90 overall. And then they patched this shit, and it was like, well, I don't need to use this build no more. Deleted the build, waste the VC. But once they started patching things out, I started enjoying 2K22 a lot more. And I would go as far as to say that this is when I really started picking up making content again. So again, just like 2K17 being the first 2K where I started making 2K content, 2K22 is where I kind of started getting back on my grind and making, content on the channel again. But more importantly, 2K22 is also where I made probably my favorite build of all time, and that was the 6'5" two-way sharpshooter. Mostly green, some red pie chart, like more green than red type pie chart. And whoo, that two-way sharpshooter, I might include that in the comments so y'all can see the highlight tape, because I put together a little highlight tape of me. And if you seen what I was doing with that two-way sharpshooter, you would not believe that was a two-way sharpshooter. You would have thought that I had like a 95 ball handle, that I was on a playmaking or a play shot or something. But that two-way sharp 6'5", I was frying the fuck out of people and playing lockdown defense, bro. Oh my god, bro. That right there, bro, like that build was chef's kiss. That was like one of my favorite builds of all time. If I could put together top 10 builds that I've made from 2K16 up until now, that is hands down in the top 3, if not like number 1. That build, I used to cook up crazy with that build. But moving on, enough yap. We now move on to 2K23. Now this was another 2K that I'm actually gonna throw in all right. Again, y'all know that we kind of have like a a pattern here where I feel like most of these games are just average or all right. But that's the thing, and I've talked about this in a previous video on the channel, that like we've had decent 2Ks, but it's been a very long time since we had a great 2K, in my opinion. Like, it's been a while. But 2K23, again, steals needed to be patched. I think they patched shooting. Shooting was a little bit shitty in the beginning. They patched shooting, made shooting a little bit easier since people were complaining. I thought shooting was fine. I did think that steals needed to be patched. I believe Unpluckable was broken on release as well, too. You literally couldn't bring the ball up. Dudes was getting plucked with Hall of Fame Unpluckable, 99 ball handle. Just walking the ball up. No dribble moves. Just walking the ball up, just getting ripped left and right. But after a certain point, I would say after like 2-3 months, this game was actually fun, in my opinion. And this was also the last year before they switched rec to like solo rec and squad rec. So, even then I was still running like a 70 win percent, shooting like 60-70% from 3. This game was fun. I would say I thought I don't know if I should say that, because I don't know, man. I was gonna say that I wasn't a fan of the dunk meter, but eventually I realized that the dunk meter, kind of was very important to learn. But I wasn't a fan of the dunk meter, I will say that. But outside of that, everything else I was okay with. The badges, the player builds. But I should point out that at this point in time, I was still on current gen. I didn't get on next gen PS5 until the end of 2K23. So, like, I would say, like, April of 2K23, going into 2K24, that's when I got a PS5 and played. and I played like the tail end of 2K23 on PS5, and I gotta say I prefer the current gen version more than the PS5 version. I'm not gonna lie, PS5 version was alright, but I'm not gonna really rate it because I only played like the last 3 months. I think I played April, May, June, July, August. I played like the last 5 months of 2K23 on PS5. Most of my time was spent on the PS4 version. So, and even after I had the PS5 version, I still played the PS4 version mostly. So, because of that, I don't really. If I'm rating it, I would be rating it based on the PS4 version and not the PS5 version. So, for me, it was all right. If I was rating the PS5 version, I would say it was probably mid, just because everybody had the same build. Everybody was on 6.8, 6.9s, which made it kind of trash. But if I'm going to PS4 version, I'm going all right. If I'm going PS5 version, I will put it in mid. Then 2K24, another controversial 2K. A lot of people have mixed opinions about this game, but for me, I would put it in the all right. And I could even go as far as to put it in the great, but I just don't think it was great, in my opinion. It was a fun 2K, and it was probably these 3 2Ks, these 4 2Ks were probably the most fun 2Ks I've had in the last since 2K17, I'd say. 21 really wasn't it. 19 really wasn't it. 18, you know how I feel about 18, 21. But I could do 20, 22, 24, 23 all day long. You bring any of those 2Ks back, and I can sit there and play those all day long. Now, one of the things that I see so many people saying that I dislike, and I get pissed every time I hear people say this, and they say that in 2K24 shooting was too easy. Now, I did shoot over 70%, and there was even a season where I was shooting almost 80%. I was shooting like 77, 78% for about 30, 40 games before my shit dropped, because I started playing on my center builds with lower threes. But the reason why I say it pisses me off is because I exclusively played solo rec. My friends, after 2-3 months, they stopped playing, and I spend majority of my time in solo rec playing with randoms. But I will say this. The average player was not shooting above 60%. The average 2K random rec player, Brandon Park player, they weren't shooting 70%. They weren't shooting 60%. Most of them wasn't even shooting above 50%. If you went into rec right now, if you get on 2K24 right now and look at a bunch of people's cards, now those are dedicated players that are still playing 24. You might find a lot of dudes shooting over 50 now, maybe, but when the game was out, most of these players were not shooting above 50, bro. Trust me. I was playing in a lobby with them. I was getting iced out by them. I was dropping 24, 22, 23, and I'm far from the best player in 2K. Far from that. But I knew my jump shot. And I knew how to get open. I knew how to take smart, wide open shots, not forcing shots, trying to dunk on 3 people in the paint. So because of that, I would have 16, 17, 18, 19, sometimes even 20 plus points at halftime. And then guess what? I don't get to touch the ball in the 3rd or 4th quarter because now they're mad that I'm scoring. And they would ice me out. And you know what they would do? They would go 1 for 5. They would go 2 for 6. They would go 3 for 9. So no, shooting wasn't easy. For the good players, shooting was very easy. Yes, I will say that. But for the average player, no, shooting was not easy. These dudes were ass. These dudes were bricking. These dudes were selling. And then now, last but not least, we have 2K25. And you guys already know how I feel about 2K25. This is going to go in a horrible category. Now, the one thing I want to do, though, and I'm not even going to go into why 2K25 is bad. Just know that 2K25 is bad. That's it. There's really nothing else for me to talk or discuss about. I've shitted on this game enough that I don't think I really need to even explain why I hate 2K25. I've done too many rants on this game. But if I was to rate my 3 worst games, and then I would say my 3 favorite 2K games, this is what this list would look like. 3 favorite, 16, 10, 17, and 16, and 3 worst, 18, 21, and 25. It has been your boy Swiftly. Please be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe for more NBA 2K content. And let me know down below in the comments what your favorite NBA 2K game is. I'm out. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.